G'day and welcome to the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Podcast. Today we've got an emergency podcast. Elliot Yeo is out for round one. We're talking captains and we've got lots of debutants to go through. Let's go!
Just done it from nowhere. Hoisted the goal from inside the centre. Sheed from the boundary. Dusty. Petty. Petrarca. Oh, wow. How good is that? The legend becomes immortal.
G'day and welcome again to the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Podcast. I'm your host, Mitch Casey. You can find me on Twitter at Ball Boys Fantasy. And sitting to my right now, Luke
weird.
Rogerson. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm going good. We've slightly, the keen-eyed observer might see that we've slightly changed the setup. So we've got a few things in the works.
Yep.
That's hopefully we're going to be getting done in the next couple of weeks.
Trying to live up to that production value that we got praised on in the...
we had some reflecting to do, didn't we? Because we got told that our production value was great, and we sort of thought, maybe
I don't
not.
know about that.
So, I mean, there could be some good things on the horizon if we can sort our shit out, but we'll see.
We'll see how we go. In amongst all this podcasting and all the content we're trying to produce, also trying to upstage. Yeah, but there's lots happening.
Last 24 hours has been nuts. This is an emergency podcast, and you guys can't see on camera, but I've had to race over here in my pajamas. It's
the old Zoom with no pants on.
If I stand up, it's not pretty. Keep emergency.
Down.
We need to talk.
Yes. So, Elliot Yeo, if I could do that, I should get a sound effect for the alarm bells or something, seeing I'm not going to whack my throat like Calvinator. But, Elliot Yeo out for round one, calf. They're saying that
That's the old man's injury.
It is the old man's injury. Look, he had such a great run in the preseason. He probably was maybe the most locked, mid-pricer in the entire comp.
It was always going to happen. Something like this was
always
going to happen.
The defensive line as well. We've had Salem earlier in the preseason. Now it's Elliot Yeo. I think that this honestly couldn't have come to a worse player in our game. But we've got to be flexible. It does, however, create the opportunity. He was a very popular player, and he was almost a bit of a gimme pick at the end.
Yeah, I think he was, yeah.
So this is where... we'll sort the men from the boys and the ladies from the girls for the ladies playing as well. But it's gonna test some people because I think it will spread a lot of ownership and interesting to see where people go. But your initial thoughts again, we haven't had too long to reflect on it, but where are you thinking of going with the Elliot Yeo news?
Yeah, he's living up to his name, isn't he? He was up and now he's down, just like the yo-yo. But I think there's kind of two trains of thought that you can probably go with here. You either go down to someone like a Will Day, and say you get a little bit of cash there, but you're forced to. Or the other train of thought is you spend up and you go to a premium on that line. So depending on where you had Yo and who you had in front of him, that probably dictates where you go if you want to go up. And if you want to go down, I'm looking at a guy like Will Day. I mean, if you didn't have Constable, you probably just pull the trigger on that.
Right now, the only must-haves from our video a week ago now is the rookie, Jinby.
Yeah.
You might say that Doherty was in there. I was pretty close to putting Constable in there as must-haves. So between those sort of players, you've still got a decent structure there, but the defensive line is just it's shambles again.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the tweet that I put out last night, but I'd solved it. I'd solved the team. I had
I only saw that midway through today, but I felt bad for you when I was tracking that back.
I got Lysette out of my team. He was out of there.
Oh, you did?
I had $0 left in the bank. It was a sign, and it was obviously too much of a sign. The fantasy god said, "Nah, he can't have it just yet." We've got to make it a bit harder for everyone else. It's we got to switch this up.
So what are your thoughts there? Because at the moment, as my team stands, I had Doc Dawson, and then I was running Yo at D3. So the only person that I think I might go up to, and he was spending a bit of time earlier, in my team earlier in the season, was maybe go up to Brayshaw and then run Constable and two rookies. But then, let's say I go down, do I feel confident having Will Day at D3?
Yeah, it's tough.
Seems gross, doesn't it?
It's tough, but do you want to then spend up in your defensive line when the value, the premium options don't present a lot of value. Like they kind of seem like you're going to get what you're going to get.
Yeah.
I'm leaning more to going down to Will Day type, like you said.
At D3? Or
at D3.
Okay.
So still going quite thin
so
there.
Would
but
you
it
then
forces
lock
me
in the
then
dock?
to go up to a
Yeah,
dock. It gives me
okay.
the cash to go up from that player to get up to the dock. Or if I stay with like a Dawson or an Angus Brayshaw, I could even get my M1 up to an Oliver. So those are some options that I'm playing around with.
Would you want to go up to an Oliver?
That's what I'm...
It's not one you've really talked about this
No, I
preseason.
haven't. I've been off him the whole time because I've never sort of been comfortable with a team that I've liked with him in there. But this does get me the cash pretty close to... I might just need to find an extra 20 or 30k here and there.
Don't tell me Bailey Smith's getting the chop for
No.
Oliver.
This is more like a steal up to an Oliver, just to
okay.
lock in like a bit more of a certainty in terms of captaincies, and we'll go through our captaincies chat later. But probably leaning more Doherty at this stage, just because I was about to send a tweet out today asking people before this news dropped. I had a scheduled tweet in there. It was who's the highest owned player that you're going to go against, and mine was Doherty. He's up to 40% owned in Fantasy Classic now. It is, and it might even be climbing at the moment because of the news of Elliot Yeo today.
People could be going up.
Still 40% at the moment, but that is a lot higher than it was even just a few weeks ago. Like he was around that 22%.
Maybe people are just keeping their cards close to their chest. And
now they're pulling the trigger, and now there's all these question marks. I think also people coming in later to the game are going to go up to those top guys, but those are sort of my thinkings. There is a scenario where maybe you go up and do that sort of, three-headed monster that you were running a bit earlier that we talked about. That could be an option, but the difference is now maybe instead of a Yo at, I think you had him at D4, you might have a Will Day at D4.
Yeah, potentially. It means you'd sacrifice something at another line, and the more that my mind ticks over, the more I probably want a little bit more safety in my ruck line and try to stay away from like a Lyset. So let's say I want to stay away from Lyset, and Mason Cox is playing with Darcy Cameron, then I'm probably leaning to go up to an English, which means I'm probably not going a three-headed monster.
I think we had a quote from that today, all but confirming that they're going to name Cox and Cameron together.
Okay.
So I'd temper your expectations for that and not expect to see that in the teams tomorrow or this afternoon, tonight, when this podcast does come out, because this podcast is going to be coming out the afternoon before our first footy game. And so outside of the Yo panic, which I'm sure a lot of us will be doing over the next 24 hours, we also have had some positive news. We've had some rookies named that will be debuting, and there's quite a list for us to go through. So first off the bat, a couple of rookies in here for Melbourne. I want to say the McVee player. Is it Judd McVee? Yeah, Judd McVee has been named, as well as Bailey Laurie. So Bailey Laurie, 200k mid forward, and Judd McVee, 200k mid defender. I think that there's a few injury concerns over at Melbourne. So I think latest I saw is Stephen May is questionable, more doubtful for round one.
Yep.
They've got, I think Viney's out, Salem's out, the hair is out. I got a few tags of people saying that the luscious locks were looking good, but not quite up for round one. So we'll have to wait off on getting our gaze on that luscious locks of hair over there.
I was hoping to flick a few tweets out about that this weekend, the hair, but we'll have to wait.
We'll have to wait a week. So to me, these 200k Melbourne guys, they're a no-go. I don't think you go there. One, because I don't think their scoring potential is very high, and two, there's a lot of players waiting in the wings that are probably not too far away that are going to come in week 2 and take their spots, and you get a red dot for the rest of the season. So I'd avoid those players.
And it kind of comes back to our point, just because these 200k rookies get named, we always know it's going to happen. Yeah. But if you haven't been doing your research on a player and you haven't been
just jump on them,
exactly, you haven't been confident that they're going to have a bit of job security and that they might get a consistent run in the team, don't just fall for that trap of, I need a 200k rookie, he's playing select. It's just a recipe for disaster, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So avoiding those guys here. We actually have a couple of green dots in our sides right now as we're recording this podcast. The Carlton boys we spoke about before. Lockie Cowan is in there. So is Oliver Hollands. Yeah. Now, we have had confirmation that the bread, he's not going to be there. He's not even in the extended, the emergencies.
Poor bloody Ciabatta.
He's not going to be the sub. So I don't know, glass half full of me says that he's not
going to be there.
He's not going to come in and sort of put up a shit score and maybe reach up his break even. So if he does come in later, he'll be still based on price.
Yep.
But I don't know. Does this lean us? Does we feel more confident with Lachie Cowan? Is he in your side at the moment? If he's there, and we have the teams, do you think you're going to be starting with him?
Yeah, I think most people will kind of flip-flopping between Cowan and Chibata, and I think that Chibata was the popular one because if he got named...
Save 40k.
Exactly. If he got named, we could save 40k and we could be pretty confident, hey, that they must see something in him. Obviously, they see something in both of them, but the fact that Cowan's named means that I think...
Named on the ground?
Named on the ground, and also that they haven't named them both gives me... That shows conviction, doesn't it? It says, we're going with Cowan.
Yeah, we're going to give him a good run at it at least.
Yeah, let's hope that that's the case. I mean, like you said, you've got to spend up an extra 40k, which... does hurt at this time, but if you don't spend up on that rookies, you could get hurt with the cash generation later in the season.
Is he on your ground?
Yes.
Oh, he's on my ground too. Actually,
he is.
Yes,
okay.
I've
I said it nervously because I don't know how.
I'm deciding between he and we'll talk about this next team as well, and a Campbell Chesser.
Yeah.
So moving on to the Eagles guys. So we've got Campbell Chesser, 200k mid defender, as well as a Noah Long named for the West Coast Eagles. Did I miss someone else there? I feel like
obviously,
there was a third
Jinby,
one as well.
You mentioned.
Yeah, sorry. And Jinby is obviously also named. That was the one I was missing. So 3 rookies for West Coast: Jinby, Chesser, and Noah Long. I think we're all locking in Jinby.
Yep.
We're probably all locking in Campbell Chesser. He's been in our sides for a long time.
Yep.
Noah Long is the guy I want to talk to you about. What are your thoughts on him? And actually, I'll probably have to get you to talk to your little West Coast source and see.
Oh, I should actually talk to my West Coast source. I should, get a little squirt.
See how secure his role is in the team, and if he's a 1 week wonder or if he's a guy that's
My initial thoughts are I think he might be a long shot. But
no,
take that away. That was just a poor joke. Look, I don't think, unless we're devoid of options, I don't think I'm going to be starting with him because, first of all, 3 rookies from one team just makes me feel like at some point someone's getting dropped.
One of them,
isn't it? And the other thing too is that I think we might have some others to choose from that we've been looking at a little bit more closely in the season as well. So those are kind of my quick thoughts on him.
Yeah. I think, look, he's a chance. I'm not going to rule him out like those Melbourne guys. He's a chance to make my side. The fact that he's that mid-forward flexibility, he's 200k. The structure that I was previously running had literally 0k left in the bank. I tweeted out.
Just run it, mate. Just leave Yeo there.
And that required having a 200k player in the spot that he is currently occupying. But we will see with this Yeo move. I might have a little bit more money to throw around on my bench now if I do go down to a Will Day. So he's a possibility for me to come in. Who else have we had named debut so far? I think we had... there's highly... I don't think this has been confirmed yet, but it looks highly likely that Philippou and the other forward for the St Kilda team is going to be named. I'm trying to just find his name here. Oh, here he is. Anthony Caminiti. Looks like he's also going to be named to fill a spot in their forward line.
Caminiti. Have you butchered that one too?
Yeah, or I don't know. What would you say of that one? Caminiti?
Yeah, it's got to
be...
Caminiti or Caminiti?
Caminiti? Well, it sounded like a sound now, the more I say it.
Isn't it?
But he's apparently likely to be named whilst they've got a few injuries in their forward line. From what I've researched about him, he's just like a tall key forward sort of type. Didn't score well as a junior. So I think kind of in the camp of those Melbourne players, to me, if he's named, I'm going to be trying to find somewhere else. I think I'd probably prefer a Noah Long over a Caminiti, personally. So in terms of those final 200k guys, I'm fading him. Philippou, the Philippousas, he is locked into our sides, and I think he needs to be on everyone's team. Whether or not he's on the ground or not, I think is up to the coach.
It depends on your structure.
His job security to me looks really, really good. So, and that's what we want to see with this sub rule.
Yeah, I think the forward lines are looking reasonably vanilla at the moment. I think if you're choosing to run like 5 premium forwards, then you've got Sheasel on your ground and Philippou's probably on your bench. But if you're choosing to run with the 4 kind of undervalued premiums, then you're most likely to have Sheasel and Philippou rounding out your forward line. And I think there's maybe been some talk about the fact that his scoring ability might not be right up there, but just as valuable as scoring ability is job security. And so I think, especially with St Kilda's woes in the forward line, I think Philippo's shown enough that they'll invest a lot of time and effort into him.
Yeah, I think so. And I think he's kind of like, to me, who was the guy like Rochelle of last year? Maybe not the best role, but you just need one or two of those scores in the early parts of the season to really pop. And he's got the talent, he's got the junior numbers behind him to sort of say that he could do that. So I am backing him in, and I'm tending to lean towards having him on my ground with the, open mindset that I might need to move things around and shuffle things to get him off my field if he's really stinking it up. Talking about the forward rookies as well, Harry Sheasel is confirmed to be debuting. Lock that one in away. He should be on everyone's field. He's probably one of, outside of Will Ashcroft, probably the number 2. He and Jinby potentially 2 and 3 in terms of locked onto our ground rookies there as
probably
well.
Probably throw McKenzie in there around the mark as well.
Yeah. Essendon, Alwyn Davey Jr., mid-forward, 212k, so just that tiny bit more than basement price.
What are you doing there?
I think he's a guy that I want to have in my side. He looks like at least someone who has a little bit of decent job security. From what we saw in the practice match, he's a small forward, but he got up the ground a fair bit and got involved in like the wings and the connective
That's what we want to see.
Play. So I liked what I saw in terms of his play style. Maybe a little bit more of a slower burn sort of a type, maybe like a Corey Durden from last year sort of thing, but I think he's probably got a bit better job security than perhaps someone like a Noah Long, for example. So if I was ranking sort of those forwards, it'd be Alwyn Davey Jr., Noah Long, and then Caminiti last. Would be sort of the way I go, and maybe to finish it off, that Melbourne, I've already forgotten his name, Lowry or something like that. I'd probably rank them in that order. And they're all sort of close to basement price, with Davey being just that 12k above. So those are all of the debutants named so far. Now, players like a Darcy Wilmot will not know until the teams are announced, because he's obviously already played in his AFL debut, but he's just not played in a regular season, hence why he's basement priced.
I feel like we're likely to see him. That's my tip there.
So... and I don't know if Fergus Green is the other one, and we're waiting on the Hawks. Okay, so I think that's the other team. We're expecting some of those players, and I'm also waiting to see if maybe like a Sam Sturt or someone like that is named. Do you have any other players that you're sort of watching and waiting on? Maybe someone like Matty Roberts from the Sydney Swans. He's not going to get named early on. You'll have to wait for the teams, because he did play that one game, scored a 6.
It's stinky, isn't it? I think I spoke about him on a previous podcast, and if he gets named, I'll be wanting to look for like a reason behind it. If he gets named, then it's because maybe one of Sydney's midfielders doesn't get up or something like that. Then it's very much it's something that you wouldn't feel good doing. But if it seems like Sydney's got their full complement there, and they say, hey, we're going to invest in this guy, then that's probably a situation where I might go select. So a little bit of a watch on him.
None of the rucks have been named just yet, so I think we're all still happy going to Maxi Heath at this stage. So
your boy Samson Ryan didn't get a
nod, so he's out. Okay, so everyone who has him in your side, get him out of your side right now, because there's no point having a non-playing ruck in the first game of the year. Get him out of your side right now, because you're not going to be able to use that loophole. So
does the sub come from the listed emergencies, or does it come from? So
it comes from the listed emergencies. So what we're going to get when the teams are named, and we can use the Richmond team as an example here. So if I pull up
currently Ross, Ryan, Samson Ryan,
so on the emergencies, Ryan, Ross.
Clark
it's just
moving
around Clark and Thompson down. So one of those players, I think an hour before tip-off, will be...
Tip-off?
Or kick-off, bounce-off. What
bounce-off.
What do you call it, man?
First bounce, mate.
First bounce. Hour before the first bounce.
bounce.
This is the NBA fan of me talking.
Tip-off.
Shut up. They'll name the emergency. Very credible. Listen to us, guys. We know what we're talking about. But they'll name a player from that list, and I guess then we'll sort of know who the sub is. But at least we know that everyone who's in the team right now will be starting on the team and will be playing. They're not going to sort of all of a sudden become a sub to start the game. Unless, of course, the coach does a late change and moves one of the emergencies. I'm looking at you, Chris Scott, over there in Geelong. That might definitely happen at some point this year. But for now, fingers crossed, we keep the emergencies as the potential subs. So those are the rookies. My advice for everyone, if obviously you're watching this or listening to this along after the game's being played, just make sure you know on Thursday night who you're going to be playing, who you're going to be playing on your field, and if you're using any DPP action, make sure that the guys that are in the spots you want them to be are there. I don't think we've got too many things to worry about, but say, for example, if you've got a Taranto and he's in your midfield, that might limit your flexibility there. So you might potentially want to just start him in your forward line and not have him as the one in your midfield because it might restrict your movements. But in terms of the other guys, like Lockie Cowan's a pure defender, so we don't have too much issues there. So just stay across all that. And again, make sure you've got your team locked in before the first game and have a full team on your field.
Yeah, I was listening to the traders this afternoon. And
I didn't know that.
No, and I'm the kind of person that would get stitched up. And I'd be like, I'll just sort that last spot
lock
later.
the guys that you want to do in.
So what we're referencing is if you have basically vacant spots anywhere in your team,
I'll get auto-filled.
Yeah, auto-filled by Thursday night. So I'm actually glad I listened to that this afternoon because I definitely could have been one.
I've never had that issue, but it must be just from pure luck because I didn't know that was a thing.
If that happened to me, I'd be new login. I'd be like, I'm starting fresh.
Yeah, absolutely. There'd be a Mitchman 2.0. At that point,
I'm not getting auto-filled, those pricks.
No, you're not getting me out of that easily. So that's all our preparation for those guys. But again, stay tuned for the news and keep an eye on those emergencies and see if any of these guys, because they've been announced in the videos and all those sort of things that they're going to debut, but they might still be debuting as a sub. So it wouldn't shock me if, say, like a Noah Long is the emergency sub, and he is going to play because it's not a medical emergency. It's not waiting for an injury, but you just might not play the whole game. So.
It happens, but I like to think most coaches are pretty kind of like friendly with that decision. I guess it's...
I kind of thought... I had this thought the other day where... If again, I refer a lot to like basketball and that sort of things, but a lot of time in like the NBA, for example, if you're a rookie, you're not expected to come out here and play a full game or starters minutes. Like you might come on, you might not play for a few games, you might come on and play like your first game, just short stint of minutes just to get yourself into the speed of it. And so the AFL coaches might be viewing it the same. They're not doing them a dirty by saying they're going to play and then they don't play. It's like they're going to get them into the game. Yeah, it's just a matter of how much. So.
And any kid that age is just going to be rapt to be out there.
Exactly. So I don't think it's perceived as badly as it was with the medical sub, because there was always that risk that you weren't going to use it.
Yeah, which would genuinely suck, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be... I don't agree with that. So I think that we might see a few more of those things. So just keep an eye on those guys that have been named on social media, whether or not they're actually named in the 22 and not the sub.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's talk captains. Now, we've got some... What are we calling this segment? We've got some...
You've typed here Casey's captains.
Well, that's the old one there.
That just reeks of plagiarism.
Well,
so, what did this fella tweet us today?
Yeah, so let's... I had a few that I did really like.
I think I liked the last one from memory.
I think we're totally unorganised here, but...
I got it here.
You got it here?
Yeah, so...
Read them out, some of the options there.
The Spruik with Luke, I don't mind that. Except... I don't know if I trust myself to do the captain choices each week.
Well, yeah.
I think I trust you more than I trust myself.
This could be a team effort.
Listen up.
Mitches.
Yeah.
I don't mind that one.
Thanks. I like how you finished that one for me.
Yeah, there you go.
Listen up.
Mitches.
Yeah, nice.
Right.
That was good.
Okay.
Making the Casey for is good.
Oh, yeah, making a case for someone.
Yeah, but I think I actually liked the last one, the pitch with Mitch.
The pitch with Mitch. See, I actually like the first one here because it's probably closest to the... I know we're plagiarising still a little bit here, but the Jolly Rogersons, because, Jolly Roger with the pirate flag and everything
I get
like
it,
that.
It's part of my last name. So.
I have to really spell it out there for you. So... maybe we haven't had time to really work the title here, but
we've given a few options. So this
maybe have some votes, guys, because I liked a lot of these ones. The reason I like the Jolly Rogersons is it's still captains themed, but I might even like to use maybe some of these segments for something else entirely. Listen up, Mitches.
I'm telling you. We're going to be paying Alex here royalties. Shout out to Alex. Thank you for tweeting that.
Alex,
that was
you're a legend,
very
man.
Good value today when I read that.
Yeah, I had a good chuckle to myself. So, unnamed captain segment at the moment. We'll come to a decision later on.
Pitch it to us, Mitch.
Top 10 captain choices for round one. Number one, no surprise to most people out there, Rory Laird is my choice for your top captain. So if you have Rory Laird in your side, I think that he should be your fallback option. Plays on this Sunday I think it might be the second game or the first game on Sunday afternoon.
Yep.
So late in the round, so you can do your VC easily before then. I think up against GWS, he's the number one option. Rumoured to get maybe a tag.
I was going to say, do you
Perryman?
Think Perryman or is Ash playing?
I'm not sure about Ash, but
Okay.
I think Perryman is the guy that's
Most
a little
likely.
bit of talk about him doing a tag.
Run around in his
on
back
Rory
pocket.
Laird. Yeah, so
It pains me that I don't have Rory Laird.
I think last time he got tagged and got held and clamped down to a 116. And that was when he was getting run with.
Wish I could get clamped to a 116.
Yeah,
the
I know,
worst.
Right? So, look, I still think he's a decent fullback option. He's got a very high floor, and that's what I like with my captain options.
Yep.
When your VC doesn't hit, you don't want to do a Callum Mills and come out and score a 53. You want
Salty.
you guys having a high floor. So Rory Laird to me is the number one option. Any objections from you?
No, I don't. Yeah,
hard
you
to-
can't object, can you?
Yeah,
You
it's
look
hard
like
to
a
object
fool.
with that one. Number two here. So number one, I think is pretty obvious. Number 2, 3, and 4, I'm tossing up and around. But number 2, I've got Clayton Oliver versus the Western Bulldogs. I just think that again, like a Rory Laird, Clayton Oliver's got a very high floor. Bulldogs don't traditionally tag.
Those doggies midfielders shake hands at the start of the game and they go find their own.
They
pill,
go the other
don't
way. So they go find their own pills. So Clary's just going to go head-to-head with these guys.
Yep.
I think that the talk of him playing more time outside of the centre bounce is a little bit overblown. So I think he's going to be in there doing his thing.
Yeah,
round
he's a beast.
1 at the MCG. I think that he's just a pretty safe option there.
Yep.
Number 3, I've got Jack Steele, who a lot of people have got out of the clown car. His ownership percentage has dropped, but I still think he's going to be a good captain choice this week at Freo. Last game of the round. Again, similar to those other guys, high floor, no taggers. Aish has done some tags before at Freo, but I don't see him running with a Jack Steele on this game. They don't tag every week. They only sort of do that when they come up against like those Lockie Neals and Clayton Oliver's, like the really obvious tag targets, which I don't think Steele is. So the only hesitation there, it's at Freo. It's sort of at Optus Stadium. So, you know, if you're going to get your marks, here's the ground to do it.
It is. It's big, wide ground, and there's plenty of space out there. I think that of Oliver and Steele, I'm probably going Oliver, and I mean you've got it in that order as well. Just in terms of putting the C on Steele after the practice match performance,
There's a little bit of question marks there.
it just might feel a little bit weird to do that. But then this next fella you've got at number 4, Bailey Smith. So, I mean, he showed at the start of last year that he could jump out of the box. I just wanted to say to you there, because if people are running that Max Heath loophole there, is there possibility to even wait and put your VC on someone like a Bailey Smith?
Well, that's my plan.
Sorry.
That's my plan.
I've just exposed it to everyone.
And here's where I want to talk about the VC loophole, right? So a lot of people will be tempted to put the loophole on a Sam Doherty because it's the Thursday night. It's what we've always traditionally done. And I think that can still be stuck in people's minds when it comes to loopholing, because we're coming from a fantasy background of Friday night lockouts, Thursday's your VC loop. You want to lock that away early, make it nice and easy for yourself. You're not going to stuff things around. But say if you've got someone like a Rowan Marshall, which a lot of us have in our side, unless there was news about our mate Tommy Campbell being cited, but we won't overreact to that.
Yeah, that's not.
He's playing in the last game, plays the same game as Max Heath. So you've always got, if you've got the Max Heath, you've always got the ability to just put him on the ground, put Marshall on the bench, and that's an easy loop for you to do that there. So you're not ever going to catch yourself out doing that. It's really simple with the rucks. So you've got, and playing the last game of the round, you could loophole any player. So for me, on this list, you basically just pick the highest and you pick your 2 best captain options.
Yep.
And whoever plays first, VC, whoever plays second, C.
Yep.
Don't get caught. Now, Doherty's not a bad captain option himself, but don't get caught on just putting the VC on him because he plays Thursday night is my thing there.
Yeah, you can be patient a little bit, especially at the start of the season. Like you said, we basically set it up with our R3 selection that we can be patient. So use that strategy to your advantage. The next guy you do have on the list is Sam Doherty for obvious reasons. He could go big. I was just going to ask you, if you have both of them in your side, like, do you agree with my rankings of this one here? Like, who would you rather put the VC on? Like, I know I've made this list, but what are your thoughts? Look, I think both of those guys for me are VC options.
Mm-hmm. Not C options.
Yeah, not C options. So, I mean, they're obviously high on your list there because they can score big. But for me, there's guys that I think are safer. Like the fella that you've got next, I feel like I'd be more confident putting the C on him than I would, and that's Josh Dunkley. The only thing is that he plays against Port Adelaide, and they're a typically restrictive side, aren't they?
That's why I've got him down.
Is it at the Gabba or is it at...
No, it's at Adelaide.
It's at Port. So, yeah, I mean, he's going to come out with a point to prove being his first game for the Lions, but that's I can certainly see why you've got him a bit lower on the list.
There were 4 players last year that averaged or that scored more than 120 against Port Adelaide last year. 4 players. 4 players.
That's
and
amazing. Do you know who they were?
I think off the top of my head, Steele might have been one. Rory Laird might have been another. I think Max Gawn was one. So Ruck. They were pretty easy to score against for Rucks. And I can't remember the 4th. But
that's right.
not many players. And I think a couple of them were like 121. It was like just barely over that mark.
Yeah.
So very restrictive, and I think that Dunkley will be a captain options most weeks, just probably not this week for me. Port Adelaide are probably the hardest team to score against.
We've got so many good options, don't we?
So for me, if I just give you a few more information on that last 2, because I think this, for a lot of our listeners, if they're going with Bailey Smith along with us, might be making this decision. So the last 3 scores against the Demons, Bailey Smith scored 154, 107, and 125 in his last 3 scores. So 2 out of the 3 over 120, and the one that was below was still 107. So for me, those are really good numbers. He's a guy that likes to come out and start hot. So I think that, again, like the Demons, they don't tag. They're not running with anyone. So I think that there's a decent option there. When you've got the VC there, you're trying to shoot for those guys with a higher ceiling, and I think that he does have a higher ceiling, in my opinion, than someone like a Doherty, which is why he's a little bit higher on this list.
So let's say you go Smith with the VC. That's a Saturday night game.
Yep.
Who are you then rolling into? So that relies on you probably having Steele, isn't it?
Steele or a Rory Laird. So Rory Laird plays on that Sunday as well.
Well, in terms of, if people have Rory Laird, I'm guessing you're still not starting with Laird.
Yeah, so if I don't go Laird, and I'm going Laird or Steele. I think is probably my option. If for example, if for some reason there is a small chance that I go Steele down to a Josh Kelly, I think less likely now because we've got to move the Yeo around a bit. But if that is the case, then you might potentially do, in that scenario, I'm probably going up to a Doherty. Then I might go a VC Doc into a Bailey Smith.
Okay.
I think I'm comfortable doing that. Last year I went a Steele... No, not a Seal, sorry. An Oliver into a Brayshaw, and at the time going into round 1, that was a ballsy move. So, but he popped me a 120 in round 1. So, I think I'm just going to back myself in there if that was the case. But at the way it stands right now, with Steele in my side, I can go Smith into Steele. And I like that because I think Smith is more that upside play. Steele's a bit more of that safe. High floor type player. So, we'll go through a couple of other options, but. We already mentioned Josh Dunkley at number 6 against Port Adelaide would be higher if it was a different opponent. I think he will average higher than some of those other guys we've mentioned ahead of him. But the Port are restrictive. Josh Kelly, I think, has a nice matchup against Adelaide. There's something still a little bit... I don't feel great about Josh Kelly. I think he's probably better used as a VC option. Plays on the Saturday afternoon. It's at Port, so I don't know if that hurts him a little bit. Oh, sorry, no, it's in Adelaide, and it's Sunday afternoon, so harder to do the VC there. Bont is another one that tried to get a little bit higher, but he's just more of that... He's probably more of that higher floor, lower ceiling type guy, but if he comes out and absolutely smashes it, I can see him having a big game and starting off his Bont for Brownlow season really strong. Our boy, Timmy Taranto, if you want maybe a sneaky... option that's going against the Sam Doherty on the Thursday night. I think Timmy Taranto, new club, in front of the big crowd that he's never done before on the Thursday night to kick off the season. I think Timmy Taranto could go huge.
He could
be a sneaky VC option.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I mean, you do stand to lose out if Doc goes big and he doesn't, but it's a VC option, and so you move on and you go to your captain. It's
a point of difference. And rounding out the top 10 list here, I've got my boy here, LDU, versus
very favourable matchup.
West Coast. Now, obviously, he's number 10. You're probably not going to use him, but I just wanted to highlight that I think he's going to have a hot start to the year.
You are so on this, bloke. Even put him in your captain's choices.
Yeah, I did. I put him in there. I just wanted to go through some notable absentees that I haven't listed here, so people might be like, where the hell are these guys? Andrew Brayshaw, tag risk. captaincies, I'm very soft with my captaincies, or at least I am now after this hat's here and not the other hat.
Or in terms of if there's a tag risk,
if there's a risk, I want to avoid it. So
okay.
Andrew Brayshaw tag risk, Took Miller coming back off the hamstring. I don't want to launch straight into that.
Yep.
Zach Merritt and Darcy Parish are also potential tag risks, one or the other. Callum Mills, I mean, I'm scarred personally, but you just want to get an idea of his role first.
Yes.
And be a bit more certain on that. Lockie Neal, similar to a Josh Dunkley, the poor matchup, and what does Dunkley do to impact him? I don't want to put a captaincy on him. And then lastly, Jack McRae. I just had those other Bulldogs ahead of him, and so they just ranked a little bit higher for me. No particular reason. Others might disagree and put him a bit higher, but I just don't rate him as much.
Most people will probably just be wanting to sit tight and see what McRae does. If you're selecting McRae, I don't think anyone's going to roll straight into a captaincy choice. I think in years gone by, you would be pretty safe with that. But after what he did last year, I don't think anyone's going to be confidently going into that. They'll just want to see what happens with him.
Yeah. Let's talk VC lines. What does your vice captain have to score for you to take it in round one? I'll put you on the spot here a bit.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Look, round one, maybe one somewhere around the 115 to 120. Yeah. I don't know if that's on the conservative side. I don't know if a lot of people would.
I know. The great man Calvin. He's a 120 guy. If it's 120, that's his line. Then go over. I'm more conservative. I 110. I'm taking.
You take 110. I mean, it's the worst case scenario is your captain comes out and gets injured in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, you just stand a lot to lose in that scenario. Or your captain comes out and scores 53.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit more conservative. I'll take a 110. In some rounds, it might, if it's like a 107 or something like that, and I'm umming and ahhing, that kind of makes me think a little bit. I've taken a 107 before.
Yeah. Can probably be situational too. Like if your vice captain scores 107, but you know that your captaincy option might be coming up against the easiest midfield to score
that's right.
against.
If there's an absolute smash
you
pick,
might go like, okay, I'm going to.
I think I've done that before, where I had it was Max Gorn up against Hawthorn, and he's coming in. He did drop like a 150, so I was happy to back that in. I think I had a 105, 106 kind of score that I had, but went the other way. But like you said, if there's a not so favourable matchup and I'm a bit umming and ahhing, I'll take the soft score and play it a bit more conservative, because if someone goes 120 and you've got a 107 there, you're missing out on 13 points. It's not the end of the world, and you're potentially risking a whole lot more if there is an early injury to your captain or something like that. So for me, I play the conservative game. I know people want to come out swinging and hit the ground running, but it's a long season, guys. I would at least... this is what I would do. Others might disagree, but I would try and take that 110 as sort of your line at least. So those are the captains for round one.
Nice. Mate, how exciting to be on as we're recording this, we're on the eve of footy.
When this comes out, it'll be footy after this podcast.
I'm so PO'd that I'm going to be missing the first part of that game, but I think I'll make up.
I'll let you know, mate. I'll let you know.
I'll make up for it with all the footy that we'll watch after that point.
For sure.
And what do we got coming up in terms of episodes? What are we structuring up
the way that we're going to look, we're going to have one more episode sort of pre-season, even though it'll be after a game of footy on Friday, where we're going to be reviewing the first game. We're also going to be just talking about all the official teams being announced and our final thoughts on our teams, as well as I'll open up also to some questions for the YouTube commenters down below. If you want to comment down any questions that you have, if we have some really interesting ones that will help a lot of people, we'll answer them here on the podcast as well, depending on how much time we have, depending on how many questions that come through. We'll see how we go. But that will be the last one this week, and then we're going to get into our routine that we're going to be doing hopefully throughout the entire season, where we're going to do 2 podcasts a week, sort of like a round review recap of the week just gone, and then one a little bit later on in the week. We're sort of planning on doing it after the teams are named, so a Thursday night or a Friday afternoon, depending on our schedule. I think it's more looking like a Friday afternoon at this stage.
And it could be Friday, which provides a little bit of a different look at it. I know for the first few weeks of the season, we've got Thursday night games, so we're kind of coming in after that Thursday, but it could be a good little space to do a little bit of a review and then kind of preview where everyone's going for the rest of the weekend. So stay tuned for that for sure. Yeah,
so on those Friday afternoons, we'll be doing some trade targets, captain choices again, talking about any major things that have happened in the teams the night before as well, and hopefully we'll get that out as soon as we can after we record, so it's up before the first game on the Friday. So Lots to look forward to, guys. Thank you so much for everyone who's tuned in over the preseason. It's been crazier than I anticipated when we started doing this about 10 weeks ago. So we're getting very close to 800 subscribers now. So we're closing in on that 1K. So, guys, if you haven't already, it would mean the world to us if you go and hit that subscribe button over on YouTube and give the video a big thumbs up. But to everyone who has listened and has subscribed, thank you very much. It's been awesome getting around the community. So, yeah.
For sure.
Shout out to you, legends, and to everyone also, especially if you've given us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. So we will catch you guys next time. Good luck for your first round. Hopefully your team and your players fly on Thursday night, and we'll catch you guys Friday afternoon for the last preseason podcast of the year. Let's go. I'll see you later. Let's go. Round 1. Here we go. Bye, guys.